Welcome. This is your speaker here today. My name is Julius. I'm going to talk to you about a little thing called improv. What is it exactly? A slight introduction into the therapeutic practice of embracing the art of failing gloriously. This is what I like to call it. Anyway, as we talk here today, I'm going to break down the basics of improv. We're going to start with a brief history of improvisation, talk about key foundational points, 6 in total, and then have use cases and a conclusion. Great? Are you excited to learn? Because I am to teach. Here we go. Briefest of histories. I know there's a lot of words up there, but I'll tell you right now, I've cut this down immensely. Okay? The basics of improv history is that it started out early 20th century by John Dewey in 1916. It was supposed to be for children. Drama exercises, so children had something to do and express themselves. Working on that little thing that, we lost as adults, it's called imagination. But then it was further developed by Viola Spolin in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. Improvisation for the theater, learning to do and teach improv. So this is why we are here today to talk about these different things. Thank you, Viola. I know for me, coming into improv newer, I hear Viola Spolin a lot. Okay, so a lot of people started out in the modern day improv, got their basics from her. Paul Sills and David Shepard, the Compass Players, and then officially known as, or now known as, the Second City. I don't know if anybody's even heard of improv that is listening to this, but Second City is one of the big names, along with the Groundlings and UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade. But the Second City started out in Chicago. They had troops, and they built from there. So a lot of the improvisers that are bigger names today started out in Second City because there's multiple locations around the country now. And that all started thanks to Viola Spolin. Current rules, quote-unquote, of improv in Chicago in the late 1950s and the early 1960s came about. And then in December of 1959, December 16th, Spolin began training through classes and exercises, which became the cornerstone of modern improv training. And then Joe Foisberg developed Spolin's methods into a one-year course, the Players Workshop, first school of improvisation in the U.S. Oh boy, thank you, Joe. And then the book that is Guru: My Days with Del Close was done by Jeff Griggs, the father of long-form improv, which a lot of people don't know about. But that is a thing in improvisation, long-form. Okay, so now we have some examples. One that is not an example is SNL. That is scripted, but there are a lot of improvers, that were part of the cast over the years, and still even now are a lot of good improvisers that are there. They got a lot of their starts from the Groundlings and, UCB and Second City. So a lot of improvisers, but that is not improv. So you have Upright Citizens Brigade, ASCAT is another one, Reno 911, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Our TV shows, they have prompts, but they don't have any scripts. Okay, it's a lot of improvisation. And of course, the GOAT, as far as I'm concerned, Impractical Jokers is there. Yeah, that's all improv. They did improv before they even started the show. Would be nice to have a earbud in your ear during games on the stage, but can't have that. But one form, one outlet way to take it out of there. So that's a type of thing you could do with it. Make a TV show. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the 6 elements of improv, as I should say key elements, because there are many different forms and elements. These are the ones I closely associate with and felt right to me. The first one is play. The second is let yourself fail. Yes, and of course we know that one all too well. Everybody knows about yes and, but what does it mean exactly? We're going to talk about that. Play the game. There are rules, and then relax, have fun. So for me, it's very therapeutic, and these elements here are part of the reason why. Okay, So, learning to play again. There's that word, imagination. You know what? We had it as children, as I said before. We lost it somewhere. So now you can use it again. I know for me, when I got into improv and got deep down into it, it's like, oh, all the stuff that I used to get in trouble for as a child, it's embraced here. And people laugh. And they laughed. And they laughed. So it's very therapeutic for me to realize that, oh, okay, all the stuff that I tried to bury in my corporate world and my corporate self, I can put out there on the stage and people love it. Thank you so much. Learning to listen and respond/react. So purposeful listening is a huge skill in improv, not just hearing people, but you're actually listening to what they're saying and reacting to it. That's a whole nother step there as far as like unagi mastery. You got to react to what people are doing. Trust your instincts. So hopefully after a while you develop good habits, and then those things, you know what a habit is, an automatic action, but those have to be built by repetitive actions. So that's how you get habits formed. And at some point, you're going to have a gut feeling. It's going to come in there and be like, I should do this because it's funny. And then you're going to do it because you trust yourself. So it might not happen in the beginning, but hopefully you've practiced diligently and you've developed those instincts, and then you're going with it and people laugh. And they laugh. So learning to speak your truth. A lot of people hide what they're going to say, and right there in the parentheses, people can read your face. It is a thing. People can read your face. So go ahead and just speak your truth. Say the first thing that comes to mind. You know, if you're on the stage and you're trusting the people that you're working with and you've done the practice, again, you can learn to speak your truth and it'll be out there. And, you know, people can see that and they'll respond usually well, as far as I've learned. And then elements number 2, letting yourself fail. It'll be okay. Because people, oh man, it sucks growing up, especially people like me who are in advanced placement, not a brag, kind of sucked at the same time. Because anything less than an A- meant a punishment. It's bad. You failed. You have failed the city. Green arrow, get out of here. And it sucks. But one thing with improv, it's okay. You'll survive. People will clap. If they're any kind of, oh no, that was a judgment. If they're in improv, people will clap if you make a mistake. Let's just rewind that. And then cannot experience growth without failing. That is an actual thing. People have researched that. You have to experience failure in order to grow and build confidence. Can't, you know, build confidence. You don't just produce it out of the air. You survive failure and you grow, and that builds your confidence. That's how that works. You have to go out and try it. You can't experience it if you don't try it. And then at some point you become rejection intolerant, or you just don't care anymore. It's like I failed multiple times. I got laughs some of the times, but guess what? I didn't die. I'm still here. It happens multiple times. You get back up and you try again. Get up back up on that horse. You fall off the horse, you get right back on it. That's what they tell you. And that's what happens in improv. Yes, and. Now we get into the crux of the whole thing, because people don't understand what yes and actually means. They say yes and, but what does it mean exactly? I challenge you to ask them, what does that mean to you exactly? Yes and. Basically, the anecdote I like to use is we're all building a house or a wall. I mean, I don't think people say we're building a wall anymore. I mean, I think you understand why, but we're building a house. Let's just say that. Everybody on stage, all your players and castmates or whatever you want to call them, you're there to build something together. The yes and is you're saying, oh, it's going to be a duplex, whatever house it is, a mansion. I have a brick. I have some spackle. I'm going to help you build this wall. Here you go. Take this. I'm going to gift this to you. That's another improv word. Gifting people stuff. You're working in a team, people. The main goal of the whole thing is to make everybody else look better. Be as boring as possible yourself, and help your other castmates, players, everybody else on stage with you. You add to scenes. Try to add to scenes. This is why it's not a no but. You don't negate something that somebody says. That's not very helpful. You want to be helpful in the scene. That's what makes it all funny. Do it with confidence. Say it with your chest, okay? I want to say they like to say, but it is not in good taste to timidly say something. If you're going to fail gloriously, okay? If you're going to say something, say it with your chest. Just put it out there. It's something you thought, so just go ahead and say it. Don't mumble, stumble, and do all those other things to make you seem less confident or more unsure of yourself. Say it with your chest. Put it out there. React positively and build on scenario. Reinforce your partner of choice and engage with them. This is where the yes and happens, because you're like, yes, I heard you and I have this to add to it. This is what the yes and actually is. Saying no but, once again, just cuts off everything. It just kills the scene, really, when you like, here's a baby. No, that's not a baby, that's a watermelon. It's like, okay. Okay, all right. Well, that's very interesting. Yeah. Okay, well, that just killed the scene. So this is where yes and becomes a thing. Building a house with the people you are playing with. We built up this whole entire thing. Now we come down to the fact that in all seriousness, there are rules to this game. So whatever game you're playing, there's millions of short form games, and then there's long form things, which is all different things. But there are rules to some of the games, okay? If you're doing forward reverse, you know what I'm saying, you can't just be like, and I'm just gonna take it all the way. If somebody says reverse and you just keep going forward, that kind of ruins the game. If you're playing, I don't know, lines from the floor, you don't pick anything from the floor, that kind of messes up the whole thing. So there are quote unquote rules to certain games. And yeah, if you're doing a scene and somebody says cut and you just keep on with the scene, it's like you're just doing chaos now. So that's not right. Okay, so determine what you're doing. If it's a short form game, what game are you playing? And then if it's long form, there are different rules. And finding the game of the show as well. So playing the game, finding the game of the night or the show. So basically is there's like callbacks, that type of thing. Depending on the crowd you're with, I would say that pop culture references may be a lost thing on the crowd. There are different generations, and some people might not know who, Mr. Rogers is, for example. Depending on your crowd, if you're playing an older crowd in their 60s or whatever, they might not even know who Taylor Swift is. So you make a Taylor Swift reference, and it just goes over their head. So, learn your audience, learning to play to the crowd, based on age, country, rating. If you're in a different country doing overseas improv, it's like they might not know there's a MLK Street in every city in the U.S., okay, those kind of things. Learn to play the game of the night and also to your crowd, your audience. Okay, there are some rules to improv. This is one of those things we got to talk about. But lastly, okay, out of all that seriousness that we were just talking about there and all those other fundamental keys, relax, have fun, just breathe. You are there to have fun. Woo-saw, take a breath, do some meditation, all of that. It is improv and it is a game. You're there to have fun. I know for me, it's very therapeutic. I get all my stresses out when I'm doing class, workshop, actual show, whatever it is. I'm there with people that enjoy doing the same thing I do. And this is the point where you stop focusing on your inner thoughts and you go in there and you help other people with their games or improv or skills, whatever they're trying to learn or trying to work on. And then you, once again, want to try listening to the other places, try listening to the other players and get out of your head so that you can play whatever you're doing or do whatever you're doing correctly, better. Do what you're doing better by listening to other people and reacting to them. And then just a small little thing, try to be boring as possible. That is one little critique that I've heard. It makes a lot of sense. If you're trying to look for the joke, you're trying to be funny every single time, it's just not going to go well. But if you try to not hold yourself back, but take it slow. Just do a little slow build and try to be boring. The jokes will come eventually. Okay, they will show themselves. If you do, go slow and then go slower. The big thing, especially if you're talking in front of people, going slower is actually better. If you don't, you're not going to realize it sometimes. You're not going to pay attention because you got nerves and all those things are going on, but you are talking fast. So just take the time to go slower. Going slower actually helps people comprehend what you're saying, and then that way you won't have a good joke that gets missed because you rush through it. Okay? So, in conclusion, we talked about the history. I know it's slightly boring, and there were a lot of names and dates, but we had to go through there. Thank you for all those people that came before so that we can play these games now in front of people and get the word out there. Still trying to grow the improv community and let people know what it actually is. It's still a thing, but it's fine. Gave some examples. Oh yeah, whose line is it anyway? We almost forgot about that, but a lot of people know about that one. Impractical Jerkers, Curb, Reno, those type of things, and all that. There's some streaming apps now too, apparently. This is interesting. Improv streaming apps. That's pretty cool. Use your imagination, people. You can play on stage. There's fine. There's no actually any right and wrong. There are rules, but there's no actual right and wrong. Feel free to fail gloriously. A lot of alliteration there. Feel free to fail gloriously. That's what I got to say. Bring a brick. Yes, and you're building a house, maybe a wall, whatever. I'm not here to judge. The rules again, and then also take a breath. Yes, just take a breath. Have fun. Breathe. Woo, sigh. You are there to have fun. Okay, this is the main point of doing the improv in the first place. And then lastly, we have questions that anybody has. I don't know if you want to comment below. Feel free to like, subscribe, share to the channel. And then we have websites for you. I do have a couple of podcasts. One is Around the Kinky Campfire, and the other one is It Isekai? So obviously BDSM versus anime. If you know the words, you know the words. Feel free to like, subscribe, share there, listen to all the different things, and download, rate, all those things. Whatever, it's on the websites there. Thank you very much for coming to my TED Talk. This is Julius, and I'm out.